So what do you make of this revelation? What are your top takeaways?
It's deeply disturbing, not just as it pertains to President Trump, but as a threat to liberal democracy. I mean, to have a president of the United States appeal to the Justice Department to try to invalidate a democratic election really raises the question about the threat to our democracy and asks us, should we have more independent oversight over the election process?
I wonder if there's been any conversation among you and your colleagues so far, just in the halls of Capitol Hill, as y'all are getting ready to kind of wind up this session and go on August recess, about what this means, what to do, where this goes from here, or even the timeline for kind of what the next steps are.
There has been. One, there is a resolve among people on the Oversight Committee to get to the bottom of this. We have an exceptional staff. We need to make sure we understand what exactly the president did and who his willing accomplices were in trying to subvert the democratic will. And then second, and as important, we need to figure out how we safeguard our democracy so that this never happens again. Obviously, Donald Trump showed how fragile our democratic institutions are and how close he came to having the Justice Department basically be his personal lawyers.
What about the implication of some of the members of Congress in those notes, particularly Senator Ron Johnson and Congressman Jim Jordan, who have been very, very vocal in their support of the president and in repeating the so-called big lie about the election? I imagine that for you, this kind of vindicates Speaker Pelosi's decision to keep Jim Jordan off of the committee that's investigating the attack on the Capitol.
Absolutely. I mean, the Speaker's decision, again, wasn't personal. It was simply based on a view that Jim Jordan was actively involved with the president in seeking to invalidate the election results. So he wouldn't have the objectivity or the impartiality to look at what happened on January 6th. And that's why she made that decision. And obviously, this vindicates that decision.
So what happens now? I mean, there used to be significant interest, or there has been significant interest in Donald Trump's taxes ever since he was a candidate. I mean, back in 2016, more than 60% of Republicans said they thought that Donald Trump should hand over his income taxes. This was obviously during the campaign. There's been back and forth about what his taxes do show, what they don't show. The New York Times did this huge investigation that dropped last year. What value do these documents have to investigators now? Is there anything in particular that you would like to learn from them?
Joshua, this isn't just voyeurism. It's not just to see what Donald Trump was invested in or whether he paid taxes or not. This goes to conflicts of interest. We need to see what his business investments were. And as president, was he taking actions that favored his own business interests? The public has a right to know that. There's a reason I have to make financial disclosures. If I'm on a committee and I'm taking actions, the public should know whether I have a conflict of interest. And the president has had serious issues of conflict of interest, and that's why the justice ruling was absolutely correct.
I wonder what this says to you in terms of the relationship between the DOJ and the presidency. Had there been somebody else in that role, as the acting AG or the acting deputy attorney general, this could have gone differently. We might have felt a different kind of presence of federal prosecutors in perpetuating this hoax in the run-up to January 6th, and then who knows what might have happened thereafter.
Absolutely. I think it raises serious concerns about how independent the Justice Department can be. Now, this President Biden has really done a very good job in staying out of it, and he has a sense of integrity to let the Justice Department be independent. But if there were another president, the question is the Justice Department subject to political manipulation? In most other democracies, they have an independent agency to look at corruption, an independent agency to oversee elections, and we probably need to think about stronger safeguards from abuse to protect our democracy.
I do want to ask you, by the way, on another subject, another story out of Capitol Hill that's moving, which is this push to address the end of the eviction moratorium that is going to end very, very soon. There had been a push, didn't succeed in the House, and there seems to be some frustration with your party's leadership for trying to kind of wedge this in to get this done now. What do you make of this in terms of how this has gone and what perhaps should be done to deal with evictions? A lot of people, millions of Americans potentially, are going to be upended when this moratorium lapses.
Joshua, I'm just going to be blunt. There's more than frustration. There is outrage at what happened today. Cori Bush, who has been unhoused, spoke so eloquently about why we need to extend the moratorium so people aren't coming week, kicked out of their homes. Maxine Waters had a bill to extend it. We said we could extend it, if not till the end of the year, at least a few months. And the leadership has refused to bring it for a vote. And the reason they're not bringing it for a vote is that some Democrats privately have tried to kill this bill because of special interests of realtors and other groups. And it's unconscionable that we don't have a vote on the House floor, that we're protecting some members to kill this behind closed doors and aren't being transparent. It's just wrong.